I'm here now.
This is the first video of this style I am doing, and today I'm just going to be going over how I made it, and also some basics of FL Studio, like some just basic functions and stuff. I didn't even know that was a thing until now. So first, right here, we have the playlist. Now, this is where you put your sounds and automation clips and patterns. So right here, as you can see, this is my kick track. And I can move these wherever I want. I just like to put them on the same row so that it's consistent and I can see where every kick is hitting. And you can solo by right-clicking. You can turn on and off by single-clicking or left-clicking. This one, I guess. If you want literally any sound, if you have it over here, click and drag. In the playlist, there are multiple different key shortcuts, so like keyboard shortcuts. Control and left-click selects an area. Right-clicking deletes. You can hit Control-Z. Alt scroll wheel makes it so that everything becomes wide. And then Control scroll wheel will zoom in. If you hit Shift and then click, it creates a copy. So Shift, you can do this as many times as you want. Next, we have another very important part. Well, let's actually go here first. This is the, I don't even know what it's called. What is this called? It's right there. This is the channel rack, and this is where you have everything that goes into the playlist. I don't know why FL Studio added the update where it condenses things. I hate it. FL Studio, please. Right here you have your instruments, and then you have all your sounds. So like this is where you have instruments and stuff. We'll get into plugins later. But yeah, this is where you look at your stuff to open different aspects of the song. Alright, next we have the mixer. Why did I say it like that? Next we have the mixer. This is where you route your sounds so that you can put effects on them. So let's you know what? I can be a little bit goofy, a little bit wacky. Let's say a random sound. Alright, so I can take this sound and I can either put it into a track using this, I can route it to a track using this, or I can just have the sound selected and then select a track, hit Control L, and that will automatically rename, recolor, and send this sound into this mixer channel. And what we can do, you come over here, you have an EQ right here. I never use it, but you come into one of these slots, you click, select all of these. I don't have anything loaded, so they're grayed out. And you can select any plugin you want, really. Any plugin you have installed, more like it. So let's just say I wanted to add some distortion. This is a third-party plugin that I have downloaded. This does not come with FL Studio, but like right now, I can do this, and now it has distortion on it. You can turn the plugin on and off using this, and then you can mix it. So this is like how much the plugin will affect the sound. So right now, completely distorted, no distortion. If I want somewhere in the middle, I can add a little bit. To delete, you right-click, hit delete. You can replace it as well. You can load presets. You can hit save preset as and then drag onto another track. And if you want to move it up and down, you can use the scroll wheel, and you don't have to move your mouse. Just hit the scroll wheel, and it will move around for you. And basically, this is where you do your mixing. I forgot to mention you have the volume fader, which is kind of obvious, and then panning. So if I were to put this in the left to the like all the way down, you would only hear it in the left ear, you would only hear it in the right ear, and then of course you can go somewhere in the middle for both. And then this will make it so that it's even in both ears. I forgot to mention that. Another thing I have to go over is, you may be wondering what these funky little shapes down here are. So these are automation clips, and basically what these do is it changes a parameter over time, and it follows this curve, and this is just the percentage that the parameter will be at. So for example, this is controlling the EQ. Actually, I can bring it over here and play it. So that's what this does. And what this automation clip is doing is it is automating this right here, as I mentioned before. And watch as the line goes up, this knob goes up. You can do this for literally any knob or slider or anything in FL Studio. So first, let's just watch it though. See how it's going up? It's going up, it's going up. Slowly, but surely. And at the end here, it pops up. Yeah. And the way you do that is, I'm going to do it with a different parameter. So I'm just going to use this one right here. I'm going to do the slider this time so that you can see it even better. So what you want to do is you want to right click on the parameter and then hit create automation clip. Now if you notice, it takes up the entire length of the song. How do you stop that? Well, if you want to only automate on a small area, you right click this dark bar up here, right click and select an area. Then you do the same step, create automation clip, and now it's only taking up this small area. What you can do now is you can change these points. Now if you notice, you can't move them anywhere, so you only have 2 points to work with. Well, the fix for that is you just go somewhere and then you right click. Oh wow, we have so many more points to play with. And as an added bonus, you can change the curve or the steepness if you want to make it, say, an exponential curve. Or maybe you're more of an inverse exponential kind of guy. And then deleting automation clips is weird. That doesn't do it. Alright? If I try to change it, it's going to jump right back up. See? So what you have to do, current project, over here, patterns, initialized control, and then delete the event. And I just got that by right clicking on where it was. Really quick, I forgot to talk about what sidechain is. So I'm going to try to make this really fast. Basically, sidechain is when you duck the volume of your instruments, usually for the kick, so that it can punch through. So right here, you can see I have my instruments routed to this track, which has a fruity balance on it. And then this automation clip right here, I've automated the volume. So you can watch it go down really fast and then kick back up. And this just makes it so that the kick punches through, and also so that the sub and sub frequencies of the kick right here, these are low frequencies, you don't want those clashing. As I mentioned earlier, do not want clashes in the low end, so it is ducking these sounds so that the sub of the kick can come through, and once this sound is over, everything comes back up. So yeah, that sidechain, it's very important if you want a clean sound. Let me just give you an example without sidechain. See how it's just kind of doesn't have any groove to it? I turn the sidechain on, and you get that groove back. Sidechain is all about cleanliness and groove, and making sure your kick can punch through. Sometimes you do it with a snare, but I mean, I barely have a snare, and the kick hits every time the clap does. So yeah, quick mini lesson right there. Next, we are going to talk about how to add instruments. So, see this plus button? Yeah, we're going to click it. And all these plugins will show up. You can pick any one of these plugins, the most basic being 3x oscillator, or 3 times oscillator. So this has 3 oscillators, or things that make noise. Once you have this loaded up, you can click this section here. If you don't see this section, that's because you need to click this yellow thing right here. It looks like 3 Among Us characters staring at you. And then you'll see this. You want to click on this, and now you can place notes. Now this works it's basically the exact same as the playlist. out here, but using Alt scroll wheel changes the velocity of the note. What that is how loud the note is played. Here, let me put it at a higher octave. Loud, soft. That's what this is controlling right here. You can select different instruments by going into here and clicking one of these, or you can click this up here and select which one you want to be playing with. So let me just go ahead and select my sub. That's not playing anything. That's because I still have this selected. I'm going to isolate the sub. And basically what the sub is doing is it gives us the... how do I describe this? It is what drives the power of the song, alright? Let's listen to this old tune right here without the sub. See how unpowerful and bad it is. Now, let's add that good low end. Oh yeah, there it is. So now to get into how I actually made this. So I got the sub, and everything is at 0, so it's only... I have distortion on it, don't worry about this. This is the only note that's being played by the plugin. So on the mixer channel, I have Fruity Blood Overdrive, which is a distortion plugin. Yeah. So I only have it on a little bit to give it a bit more oomph. And then I have a EQ, because with sub, you don't want too much up here because it might conflict with your bass. So I have it cut off nice and low here. You can see it says sub right here. This is where your sub lives. You can see it. And then I added another overdrive just to get the volume up, because right now it's quiet. You see right here, it's not quiet enough. Put it right here. So next we are going to move on white noise. So the white noise pattern I have, it's not actually changing notes. White noise is a toneless sound. It cannot change notes unless you like change the EQ of it, but that's a bit advanced. We won't worry about that. So the white noise, I just have this, and actually I have a sine wave down here with the volume being automated by this right here. So this right here is automating the oscillator volume of the tonal part, which is, I have selected a triangle wave. So you see it moving up and down. So this is the white noise. And this is a very groovy part of the song. You know, this, I actually really like this. I'm super happy I made it. It is just a nice groovy rhythm, dun 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 dun, you know? And what's really making, let me turn off the effects and show you how bad it sounds. Yeah, white noise on its own is typically not very appealing to the ear. So you know what we did? We put some effects on it. So first, I have a fruity balance, taking down the volume a bit, just to, you know, make it less harsh, because we don't want the sound standing out too much. Next, add an EQ, taking out the low end, because again, we don't really want stuff clashing with the bass. It's okay to have some, well, it's not okay to have clashes, but it's more lenient up here in the high frequencies. You do not want it here. Here is bad to have clashes. Do not let clashes happen here. And then I added a phaser. Now this is what's getting that. So right now, it's very stagnant, or static, as you would say. Now I add the phaser. Hear that, like, that nice, you know, I don't even, phasery effect. Because it's a phaser. Next, I added an EQ. I don't know. Don't ask. I'm pretty sure I was just cleaning up any frequencies the phaser might have added. Next, we have the main bass. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, this is a third-party plugin, and it is $190. Alright. Serum. So this is a very simple bass. Let me just play it for you right now. So the sound itself is actually just 2 saw waves. Now, as you saw earlier, in here we have saw waves. So why, of all things, did I choose to put it in a serum? Well, that is because of this beautiful section right here. This is the effects section. But we're not going to get into that. We're actually going to turn all these off right now so that we can build this sound from the ground up. So, you want to hear it without any of like the effects on? Here you go. That's quite unpleasant. I'm going to stop it right there. So I added a sub and then another saw. I almost said sine. So I added the sub and another saw, and that didn't do a whole lot. So I added this filter. Keep in mind, I have this envelope down here, which is the volume of the sound. So as you can see, it's in a pluck shape. It goes up really fast in volume and then fades away. And also, I have this envelope on this cutoff right here, so that you get that pluck effect. Moving over to the effects section, I have a distortion, which is on the downsample mode. It's like an 8-bit kind of effect going on here. And then next I have a flanger. It's kind of similar to a phaser. Oh my gosh, I forgot the hyper and dimension. So the hyper and dimension just adds stereo width. So let me play it with and without. See how it just gets a lot wider and sounds like it has more voices? That's because we are adding artificial voices and then a very short reverb. And then we've got this and this. Now the flanger isn't doing a whole lot because I have it on low mix. So the flanger is just emphasizing what's going on in the hyperdimension. And then I added a filter to clean it up. See how all those high frequencies that were just kind of, you know, staying there? This just took those away. So we get a nice, short, punchy sound. Alright, for the effects, I have an OTT. Now, this is also a third-party plugin. It's by Xfer, the same company that made Serum. This is over-the-top compression. Now, compression just takes the high volume and low volume parts of a sound and makes them closer together. Who's talking to me? Now that I've finished dealing with my friend over there, I'm going to continue explaining what OTT is. So this is just adding compression to different frequency bands. So you got high, mid, and low. And this takes the sound to the next level, really. It's like the beginner end all. Yeah, just listen. See how it just, you know, really oomphs it up, you know? Next, I have a patcher. Now this is where you can add multiple plugins doing different things. This is a bit weird the way I did this. I added a low cut so that only the low frequencies get through. And then I distorted the ever-loving crap out of them. See how much distortion there is. And then I took the high frequencies and distorted them a little bit. And see, this really gives it that power. I don't know why I separated the frequency. I'm pretty sure it's because whenever I did this before, just putting Blood Overdrive right here, it got too messy. I needed to have that cleanliness in the high end, especially. Next we have Vocal Doubler. Now this is also an external plugin, and it basically it does what the Hyperdimension does. It adds artificial voices. It just adds more depth, I want to say. Listen again. Yeah, it just adds a bit more depth. And then I cut out, this is a trick that cleans up the hi-hats and stuff and other high frequency stuff. I cut out the high end and the low end so that it doesn't clash with the sub, because clashing in the lower frequency you get, the less stuff you need, but you still have to have power. So I cut out the lows and highs.
Yo. Watch this.
Oh my gosh. I'm in the middle of making a video. You absolute buffoon. I don't... Ooh. Hey. Let's go. Oh yeah. Oh.
This is all I wanted to show you, bro.
Alright. Thanks.
I have another something to show you. I think I clicked on the wrong project too. Crap.
I'm gonna keep going. Next, I have a sort of piano thing. So it is a... I'm gonna...
That's the wrong... No, don't do it.
I've muted your music. I have a piano thing. It's like a soft, you know, nice, something you would listen to, or...
This is a bit cringe.
Something you would listen to put your babies to sleep, you know?
I'm sad.
Yeah, I get it.
Chicken tender.
Are you?
Yeah.
Chicken tender and fried.
Alright.
I'm gonna mute you, though. So this is a nice, you know, nice soft... But I used it for scary stuff. So we go in here, it's a super simple arpeggio. That's what we call it when notes are going up and down like a roller coaster. So it goes up and down, and then you turn it all around. That's the wrong thing. And then you got a lower octave doing the same thing. So this, you know, it was just a nice way to add some ambience. The effect plugins I have on it is an imager. Now this is just adding stereo separation. See how that just widens it out? How do you turn off notification sounds? So this just widens it out, helps it stay in the background some more. Next I have an EQ. What the? It looks like some booty cheeks, but you know, this is taking the mid frequencies and isolating them. And also right here, you can see this frequency was really standing out, so I took it down. Next, I have a Flange, not a Flanger. And this is doing the same thing as all the other ones, just widening it out, making it more in the background. See how it just makes it more dreamy, you know? And then I added a Panomatic, which this makes it so that it goes back and forth between the right and left ear. So, see how it's kind of moving back and forth? That helps it stay in the background as well. And that's all for that. Next, I have a tone thing. I don't know, it's some like ambience I thought was cool. Well, it's not ambience, it's a nice hard bass. But I added lots of reverb. Yeah, it's a lot of reverb. I added lots of reverb and made sure that it just hit when the side chain was hitting right here. So it's a very, very short note in here. Right here. So if you listen, it's very short. So this is just a preset. It's a preset based plugin, so I didn't make it. You got an EQ doing some stuff. I make the weirdest shapes. Just softening it a bit. A patcher, which this is mid-side EQ. This is a more advanced technique. It's just splitting the mid and side, which is the separation between the right and left ear, and then what is the exact same in both ears. I split it to just make some changes with that. I'm not going to go over that too much. And then I added more stereo! Added more stereo. And then I took out an annoying frequency. Then I added serum effects just to add a delay. This comes with serum if you buy that. Took out more annoying frequencies. I did a lot of stuff on this. And then I added a fat delay. No, reverb. And that's that sound. Now for the wub. Oh yeah! A saw wave that has some sync. So it's more like it's an octave up. And then I have another saw wave. It's just like if you took this and then mirrored it, so like only this section right here, and then mirrored it and put it right here, it's still a saw wave. It just looks a little different, but you also have this shape, which I've covered this before, that's going on the cutoff. So you see it following it there. The effects, I have similar stuff as before. So let me turn this off. The hyper and dimension, just adding some width. Man, that sounds a lot different. The distortion, which really does it. Let me turn off the other plugins as well. So yeah, that distortion really takes it to the next level. This is literally the same thing as OTT, it just looks different. Really adding high frequencies that I took out with this EQ a little bit. So that's the basis of the sound. With the effects, I used a plugin called Biggifier, and it bigifies things, you know? So let's hear it without it. You know, really harsh, really not wide. Turn it on, and it just becomes like more stereo separated, bit thicker. We like it thick. And then I added an EQ to really bring down those high frequencies that were annoying, and to add a bit of low frequencies, because this is not being played while the sub is being played. And I took out a... That's not something we want. I took the phase of this wavetable, and basically, well, you kind of have to understand, it like takes where it starts being played at and shifts it. So like right now it starts being played here, but I made it so that it started being played closer to down here. And listen to the tonal change. Phase is really, really weird. It takes a long time to understand, but first it's like nice bass frequency, you know, like the bass note. But once you change that phase, see right here, it drops down. So that's changing the phase. The way those two sound waves mesh together is different, so you get a different tone. It has like a 7th note above it. That was just changing phase. So you go from this to this. Really cool thing I added there, and that's just in the second part. Then I have strings. It's a fake string, obviously, and I only added it in the second part. Adding like a high string, just very in the background for ambience, like in the second half of something, can really, you know, amp up the energy. So all the other stuff playing. Here, right in the background. So this string, it's another flex preset. This plugin is awesome. It comes with FL Studio. I added a little effects. I added some reverb, the nice fat reverb. We like that around here. Another imager to make it more in the background. So we got that, and then just an EQ to clean it up some. Now the drums, very simple. I have a kick, which only has 2 effects on it. Without the effects, it sounds like this. So I didn't like how clicky it was, so I just really boosted the heck out of the low end and then took down the high end. That just made it nice and punchy. And then the limiter, see how, because of how much I've boosted it, it's distorting. I put on a limiter, and this makes it so that if the sound goes above the ceiling, which is right here, the sound goes above, the volume ducks down so that the volume is consistent. You can see it like dipping down there. So you can see the purple is where the sound should be, but the white is where the sound actually is. Next you have the first clap layer, which is this right here. It has like a little lead in. I left that in at some points whenever the groove fitted? I don't know. No effects on that. Same with the snap. Together. Kick. So nice tight drums, that helps with the groove. Next you have the hat, which acts more like a ride. So let me turn off the effects. So this is actually, I have it edited right here. So you can change the curve of the sound. So this is what it sounds like originally. But I turned the in on, which is just like fade. So this is fade at the beginning. And that kind of, it makes the body of the sound a lot more prominent. And then in the effects, I added reverb. And then a compression. So, and that's just making the volume more consistent. And because we have reverb before the compression, it's also compressing the reverb, which makes the reverb stand out more because it's trying to bring the high volume and low volume together. So it makes that low volume reverb stand out. And then just an EQ clearing out the low end. So you put all the drums together and you got this nice, like, a tight but at the same time, you know, kind of airy drum loop going on. That complements well with the pluckiness instruments I have going on here. Yeah, that's the basics of FL Studio, and an example of a song where I used a lot of the things I have shown you in this video. So this is more of like a learning experience and a small little showcase for me in the same video. My first video of this type, like I said. Thanks for watching. Yeah.